Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to Food for Thought with LB Fresh and our special guest today, Kelli Johnson, and our other secret special guest who's coming in, I think, who's Melanie Wong from the California Food Policy Council. We're really excited to deep dive with you today into the farmers market. We have so many farmers markets in Long Beach, and there's so many aspects to the farmers market. So it's really great to spend some time with Kelli Johnson, who's the director of, I think, 5 or 6 farmers markets, and learn more about them. So I'm going to go ahead and share a quick presentation on my personal experience with the farmers market and what just some kind of bizarre thoughts that I threw together on it for fun. But I want to talk to you about, farmers markets versus supermarkets. And I think something that's really interesting is I was reading that Boris Yeltsin, actually, one of the big things that made him decide to topple the Soviet Union was a visit to a Texas supermarket, a Randall's supermarket. And he has a quote in his autobiography, which is called Against the Grain, which is a food, reference that when I saw those shelves crammed with hundreds, thousands of cans, cottons, and goods of every possible sort, I felt quite frankly sick with the despair for the Soviet people. And it's really amazing. So maybe actually it wasn't our nuclear arsenal that changed the whole world order and toppled the Soviet Union, but actually our nuclear food system that was great for building up the arsenal of democracy, but maybe we've gone a little too far in that we're left with this strange artifact, the supermarket, which as a kid, I always really loved the supermarket. I love to go to the supermarket and all that stuff. But as somebody who knows much more about the food system and what the food system provides people, this environment doesn't have that shiny gleam to me that it used to. And instead, it's kind of a scary place that, sometimes feels a little empty, and it's hard to meet people, and it can feel a little just, you're surrounded by packaging, and, people are kind of, especially now during COVID, they're running by you. But even before that, it just was always like you were in your own bubble moving through a TV commercial or something like that. And you can contrast that, craziness going on here with people getting in, with the environments that the farmers markets create. I mean, there's just more natural environments. The things of the community are being used. The products are being displayed that are seasonal and fresh and colorful and welcoming for you to buy. It's a bunch of small businesses. I remember once I was buying local produce and then later seeing the person walk their kid to school and realizing my money was going to, help that family and not go back to some global consortium. And the only friends you're going to make the only reason people are friendly at the supermarket to you is because they make a commission when they sell you a store credit card. It's not real friendship. You're part of just primarily a commercial transaction. And foil that with the farmers market, where you run into your friends, and not even these are just my friends, but this is actually a business meeting at the farmers market where the California Food Policy Council, my compost, our Long Beach's compost group director, and Kelli Johnson, our farmers market directors, are bumping into each other and, swapping some stories and purchasing celery. You can just have more fun at the farmers market, and it's more free. People are really kind of uptight in the supermarket. I don't know. I'm one of those people that, like, if I see people buying stuff, I want to talk to them. Oh, you like that kind of garlic? I like this. They're frightened by me. It feels very unnatural for me to be breaking some kind of fourth wall and telling someone I love the same green tea that they love, or whatever. But at the farmers market, if you say to somebody, oh, I love the French radishes, what do you think? And they're like, oh, my grandma was French and she grew these radishes on her windowsill, and before grandpa went to the war, he packed a radish in his pack. And you're getting these sort of deep personal relationships with people over cruciferous vegetables and things of that nature. So there's also just this amazing discovery and sense of rarity sometimes at the market, especially right now between seasons, between growing seasons, you might stumble upon something extra special or extra different. Or even in this case, one of the OC baking company or the bread baker, I guess they had a little extra dough. And so they formed this Italian loaf into a bagel. And, that rare find combined with this rare find at the market, Chef Paul, who is a local chef who shops the market, and he actually invites a lot of the farmers and chefs back to a wonderful place. And the market, beyond just the days the market exists, it connects to places in the community and people in the community that you get to connect to through the market. And so Chef Paul throws a little party for the farmers and for chefs who shop the market to gather at one of the most beautiful spaces. And they enjoy, fresh vegetables and fruits from the markets. And there's a beautiful grill there, and they prepare meats and grilled peaches. I was able to bring my special gift from the market that I love, my little bagel. It was a big bagel. It wasn't a little bagel. It was a big bagel. And got to make this like giant bagel and lox cake for everybody to share together. And actually, Kelly took this picture, I think.
It was delicious.
Yes. So I think the farmers market is an amazing gateway drug into the food system and to connect to the people and the places behind the food system. And so I'm very glad that we're here today to talk to Kelly and stop sharing my screen. And welcome, Kelly, because we're going to talk to you about the farmers market now.
All right. Thank you.
So Kelly, we've been friends for a long time. You're somebody in the food movement who I gravitated to right from the beginning because you're so friendly, you're involved in so many different things. And so do you want to go into some of your background of maybe some pre-market days and all the cool stuff you've been doing in Long Beach forever?
Well, let's see. I guess my kind of Long Beach urban ag journey began when the Long Beach Community Action Partnership asked me to do an 8-week jobs training program. And we decided that in order to teach some job skills to some youth, we would build a farm. So we built like a little teaching garden, and it was awesome. We had a great experience with the kids and the organization itself, and decided to continue it. And it ended up being a 5-year project. So my little summer farm project ended up being a big part of their youth program that did a lot of training through music or artwork. And so we would do our pitch to the students at the beginning of the year, and they'd all be like screen printing shirts and creating music videos. And I'm like, you want to come outside and dig holes in the hot sun and build a barn and maybe take care of some chickens. So we would, it ended up being a really fun aspect for a lot of students who really didn't have any experience with urban ag. And so it was all around fabulous. And then that project ended. Long Beach Cap moved. The Salvation Army has reclaimed that land, and the farmers market opportunity came along. Having always shopped at farmers markets, I used to shop at the downtown Long Beach farmers market in the 80s when I was a caterer. And so when the opportunity came up, I jumped at it, and it's been about 5 years now since I started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And do you want to give us some of your background in food too? Like you had some kind of interesting stages or something.
Oh yeah. Well, I worked on the line in restaurants for about 10 years and did some catering, and decided that I needed to learn more after working in kitchens. Did some cooking classes. I met Buddy Hackett's wife at a cooking class and passed out my business card saying that I was a caterer when I was like 19. And she hired me, and I got to their house, and Buddy Hackett answered the door, so that was kind of a surprise. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I cooked for them for a year. She was the chairperson of the suicide prevention charity, and every party that I cooked out of a Bon Appetit magazine, making everything for the first time. And it was oh Buddy. Yeah, it was an interesting
And
experience. And
for our young viewers, who is Buddy Hackett?
old-timey comedian. He's just, he's one of those Johnny Carson, Red Buttons, Don Adams, Don Rickles, Don Knotts. They were all at a party one time that I catered for. So
And do you remember any things that he'd like to eat, or the
well, they were kosher. So that was also, every single utensil and pot and pan in their house was painted with either a red R or a red M for meat, or a white for dairy. So if you use the wrong utensil, he would like grab it from you and run out into the garden and plunge it into the soil. That was always really interesting.
So do you know how to make like kugel and matzo ball soup and other Jewish?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
didn't make any of that. I just kept the meat and the dairy separate.
okay. All right.
That was the big thing.
Well, cool. Well, do you want to jump into you and your daughter made an incredible presentation of some of the basic facts I think we want to cover. You want to go
Sure.
through that? And
Sure.
all right, cool. So I will try to do this successfully again here. Oh, whoops. I was confused here. Perfect. All right. So Kelly, take us through this magical tour. I think we're getting on the bus to the farmer's market right now.
Yes. Some flowers, and the center slide is Ebt Vouchers. So anybody with that is in the CalFresh program can come to our markets and exchange, swipe the card, and then we give you vouchers to spend. At the markets right now, you can buy anything with your Ebt voucher because there is no hot food. The only thing you can't buy with a voucher is hot food. So everything's on the table. And in our midweek markets, we have a market match program, which we would really like to expand. And I think there might be an opportunity to expand this year to our weekend markets, and maybe raise the number a little bit. So if you swipe $10 on your Ebt card, you get an additional $10 that's funding provided by the USDA, so that and that's for fruit and vegetables only. So it just helps, I think, offset some of the costs of fresh produce or organic produce. I think a lot of times people think that produce is more expensive and they don't use their Ebt as often at the market. But I think once you start shopping, you realize that it's really not more expensive, because you get a lot for your money and it's fresher, so it doesn't go bad. Everything lasts longer. So I know that when I shop at the grocery store and buy produce, it's like for that day, because it does not hold, in my experience. So the market match program is great. It really helps farmers on our midweek markets. I think on Wednesdays we're doing up to $3,700 in CalFresh, which means that twice that is going right into the farmer's pocket. So that's really great.
Wow. And I'm glad, I mean, you bring up a really big program right off the top, but it's so important and cool. So it's a big issue in Long Beach that a lot of people who can get the CalFresh benefits or Ebt benefits, don't even apply for them.
Right.
But then when you do get them, you might be limited in what you're using it. And there's this great program where you can come to the markets and spend your money there, but then during the midweek markets, you get double your money, up to, was it $10 spend, so $20 buying power at the farmer's market.
Right.
And so that's,
and if it was available, sometimes, when you talk to people about, actually college students are kind of the latest demographic that are really signing up for CalFresh. We've done some outreach. We're finding a lot more people are coming to the Sunday market, and using CalFresh benefits. So we'd like to add Market Match to the weekends. But if you live in Long Beach, all our 3 markets accept CalFresh. So you could basically double your budget for produce, even if you took out 10, 3 times a week at different markets and just shop, sort of shop small and for a couple of days, and $30 off of your benefit, you have $60 worth of value. And if we could get it up to 20, we'd be so excited. If we could take out, if they could match up to 20, that would be really helpful for a lot of families.
And Melanie Wong, who's here with the California Food Policy Council, she brought up that right now there's a $20 million state benefit that could go to Market Match.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll email everybody who's here about that, because you can, write in that you support that, and that'll bring more dollars to the farmers and to local people to be able to spend at the market.
Right. I think that's on the radar of the Market Match group, and with the City of Long Beach, they're all very interested in expanding the program. So that's good.
Thank you. All right. Oh, should we get into this, huh? Well, bam, where are we, Kelly?
Here we are at the Sunday Farmers Market near the marina. This is pretty close to where it originally opened. And there's Lionel. Oh,
sorry.
That's okay. And it's pretty close to where they originally opened. It's moved around a little bit in Basin 3, which is there right near 2nd and PCH. So right now we're all the way at the end next to the shipyard. And that's Kati.
Where I always run into you. And so, one question I think probably maybe some people have about this market is like the parking, because it changed a lot over time. And then there's that strip all along the marina where it says restricted. Where is the best place to park for this, Kelly?
So in my opinion, so the way the parking lot works, half of the parking lot is restricted, and the farmers market is situated on half of the open parking, right? So the 2 rows next to the water, restricted, 2 rows next to the street, available for public parking. What I suggest that people do is enter in at, I can't remember what the name of that street is, but if you just pull in like off of where Mimi's Cafe used to be, sort of that second driveway or the second signal at the end, if you go in there and then enter the parking lot and just take the first spot and walk up. Trying to get close to the market is always just creates a lot of circular parking struggle. It's a beautiful place to walk. You can park and walk through along the water, or because there are 2 rows of parking that are restricted, there's hardly any cars there. So you can just kind of stroll through the parking lot. It's good stroller, wagon, bicycle lane.
That's what I did last time, Kelly. And for my first time, I went that other way where you go into Mimi's, and I parked right by Joe's Crab Shack or whatever it is, the San Pedro fish. Right. And then I walked over, instead of walking through the parking lot, like you said, I walk over to the water, and I walked the water, and it was beautiful. And I saw oysters on the rocks.
Nice.
And I thought about harvesting them and giving them to John Morris, but I didn't.
Yeah. So that's good. And then you can also, a lot of people shop at Whole Foods and the farmers market. So you can park over there in that structure and just walk across the street. It's really close, especially if you're going to be doing some shopping there as well.
I'm going to pull up the map a little bit for folks, because they want to see this in action. It's pretty unique, and there's been a lot of development there lately with the 2nd and PCH. And so that's another question, is if you park over there, is that bad? Like, you get towed for parking at 2nd and PCH?
No, I think it's 90 minutes free over there. And then if you're going to shop at Whole Foods anyway, usually what people will do is they'll park over there, they'll walk through the farmers market, and then anything that is on their list that we don't have at the market, they'll pick up at Whole Foods on their way out, get it validated. So I think it's
from across the street, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, and
yeah.
they're still building the thing right there.
And there's tons of parking over there.
Okay. So this is 2nd Street and this is PCH. So that's, and then this is this brand new development right here. And the market's right here, right?
I can't see what you're pointing
Oh.
You
Nope.
need to share your screen.
at. It sounds right.
Yeah, okay. So this is 2nd here. This is Pacific Coast Highway. This empty lot at the time is
Oh, right. That's before the,
mall.
yeah.
And you were right here along the marina.
Further to the right.
Oh, you're right here.
No, the other way.
Oh, you're right there ish.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, down on the end.
Yeah. So what we were just talking about was, instead of like most people go in this way and stuff,
Right.
go in over here
Yeah.
and then come in and then park right around here and then walk along the water.
Right.
And then you get to the market, it's beautiful, then walk over here, get out. You know, it gets a little jammed up over here. So
Right.
to help you guys out a little bit.
And I know that people sometimes have, you end up with a lot of bags, baskets, or whatnot. And there is a row of vendors on the water side. And oftentimes people will just set their stuff down next to a vendor and drive through and pick up. You can drive right up to the end, and the meat guy right there at the end. I know a lot of restaurants will come in, swing through, do a big pickup and leave. So it's pretty wide open. Once you're on either end of the market, really.
Okay, cool. And then
And
tell
there's
us
Lionel.
some of the people that sell at the market. And
Yeah, he lives in Long Beach. He's been selling at the market for more than 20 years. I think he might have started at Long Beach in 97. I'm not sure. But yeah, best granola. Love him.
ooh, I have to try that.
Yeah, and scones. And then Weiser Farms we're really lucky to have a lot of these farmers. They grow some really unusual things. They're part of the Tehachapi Grain Project. So a lot of the flours and things that many bakers use are grown by Alexander. He always brings in beautiful radicchios and chicories. This is one of my favorite picks from a couple weeks ago. And he has great potatoes. They sell at the Wednesday farmers market. And I know one of the things I really want to get out in the world is that a lot of the farmers that sell at Santa Monica also sell in Long Beach on Sundays. So we're kind of trying to figure out a way that we can, because of the schedules now, I know a lot of restaurants are closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Sunday's not a great day to shop for your restaurant. So we're trying to sort of figure out how we can do some deliveries from our Wednesday markets. We come back into Long Beach every day because our office is here. So we do some standing orders, some custom orders, and but yeah, Weiser's great. Love him.
And does everyone know what radicchio tastes like, and did I pronounce it right?
I don't know. Radicchio. It's a bitter green, and sometimes it's used in soups or just grilled. You know, back in the 80s, we used to make ridiculous tacos. We just used the leaf and put all the stuff inside. And but this one most people are talking about how they slice it, rub it with olive oil, and put it on the grill, and then just serve it as a side. It's really good.
Yum. I love it in like an Italian chopped salad too.
Okay. There you go. And they're always pretty. You know, it's nice to have pretty food.
Let's take a drive up to Bixby Knolls on Thursday night. And what's going on there?
Thursdays, we are open in the afternoon. So it's kind of nice for people that can't get to a market during the week or during the day, midweek. And this market's been around for, let's see, Thursdays originally started in 1985 in San Pedro, which is one of the reasons they called it Harbor Area Farmers Markets. It has moved around a little bit. I believe at one time it was behind the health department on Grand, and then it landed here in Bixby Knolls. about 17 years ago, something like that. It's in the on the access road, which we would very much like to place make this year. This is the 2021 is the year to fix up
So
Bixby Knolls.
this is Atlantic Avenue, north of like what most people would think of like Bixby Knolls proper, and then
Just north of San Antonio,
yeah, and then you're kind of over here in this access road,
right?
and right across from the world famous orange twist,
Twist.
everybody's favorite piece of plop art bought out of a catalog.
Which was a
And
big pokey stop for a couple of years.
oh yeah, and then you actually have a proposal in for, this is the low slung wall that you
Yeah,
want?
that's the wall right
Okay,
there.
so yeah, maybe in the We Rise, there might be a Thursday night where this gets muralized in a health equity to create more of a place and add some more community art to this area.
Yes.
And there's been also recently kind of like a food truck pop-up village that's emerged here too, right, Kelly?
Every day but Thursday.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there a lot. We see it a lot. And the council office has asked the city to drop another trash can. We have some vendors who have not been able to sell at our market since this started, when they canceled the open food, and they pivoted to a food truck and they sell there. And so I've gotten some feedback from them that they kind of self-police and pick up all the trash, and they know that that they're lucky to have this space, and they kind of coexist with the cars from the residents right there. So it's been pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you also recently got, so as part of the last CARES Act relief grant, the city was provided funds for healthy food boxes, and you won that application and did some really amazing work with it. Could you give us some details on that?
Yeah, so we were one of a number of groups that were awarded an opportunity to work on this. Our project was farm boxes. I don't think everybody's project was farm boxes. I know Primal Alchemy did meals, and so we partnered with a number of organizations in Long Beach, that the Heart of Ida, which serves the senior population, the May Center serves the Cambodian population. I had a group of, well, actually a couple of middle school teachers from my neighborhood had identified through following up, checking in with some students. There were some families that were really struggling, large families living in small space, both parents out of work. So we had been supporting them for several months, and like 6 families. And then when this came through, she had identified already 20 families that really needed help. So we were able to expand that. We started a donation box program for the hospitality industry when they closed patios again right before Thanksgiving. Obviously that's going to be a huge problem. We have good relationships with a number of restaurants because they shop at the market, and we know, they're friends, or we go there to their restaurants, and knew that there would be some people struggling. They've had to, maybe a restaurant had 10 staff and now it's run by the owners. So they had to let go waiters, bartenders, dishwashers, everybody's off. So we deliver boxes to them. And once this program kicked in, we were able to expand that. We met a midwife, and so we were delivering boxes completely curated towards prenatal postpartum mothers. And there's so many items in the farmers market that people didn't even know we had, like sprouted fenugreek and a different sort of different greens and things that are really, really great for a new mom diet and nutrition needs. So we've there's a couple slides coming up of that. But one of the side effects of this program was just we're like, why aren't we doing this now? We should do this. So we're going to have a Mother Nature box that will be available online, so you can order for your a baby shower or a friend that could use this program. And we've got a nutritionist kind of working with us to help curate all the boxes. And we just saw such great, great response from
You've
people.
really been so innovative and pivoted, and I think it's really cool, important to note like that. You've had to make all these decisions on a dime's notice, and then also like I think with this program, you have to prepay for all of it. So you put out $50,000
Yeah, we
to
spent
do all
it all.
the work. So I want to acknowledge that, because like so many people like you are working like really hard right now, and you have to even work harder than ever with like no sense of normalcy. And so the fact that you made those decisions and that you did all that work, that wasn't necessarily the obvious thing to do or the automatic thing, and that was really helped a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an incredible roller coaster, and sometimes on a daily basis you feel lucky to have a job and crazy for going to work, and it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but at the end of the day we're really lucky to have jobs. We're really lucky to be able to help people who are also feeling a panic. Just right in March, I guess, when everything shut down, we quickly built an online shopping cart, and farmers markets are not traditionally fulfillment operations. So it was interesting. It was pretty fun. We went from doing 0 farm boxes to like I think we did 200 on Easter. And people were scared, and like we had this couple drive through, and they just had a yellow pad with their order number, and they just held it up in the window and popped the trunk, and you could just see how scared they were and how relieved they were.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's see what's next slide. Oh, you already talked about this.
We talked about that.
We should have gone through that.
So,
But this is okay, so important, because I've seen some of the distributions and you look in and you're like, I don't know what anyone's gonna do with 19 pounds of Brussels sprouts. Like it's really amazing that you're you're providing like the most balanced and different colors and different vitamins and things like that, and that's above and beyond what.
yeah, we just really packed. That's an example. The picture on the right is an example of today's um midwife box. There's a little suit, a little soap, handmade soap up at the top, and so we put a lot of thought into what goes into the box. And I mean, it's shopping. It's like retail therapy, running through the farmers market, getting to pick out everything that's going to go well together. And because we had a set list of people who we were working with, an organization, we could really talk to them too about what does your group like. So like the Mace Center is like greens, fruit, eggs. So all of that, we made sure that we went heavy on those items. And for the seniors, a lot of the seniors are living alone, and so we did things like coffee one week, tea, bag of home, ground coffee, a bag of a nice herbal tea. Did some things that would last, like the dry beans. So they're getting a box of things, but want to help them make it last as long as possible. The other thing we realized is when we started doing our metrics, that say if I delivered 2 farm boxes to a restaurant full of 20-something people that work there or are laid off, they're sharing that box between 7 of them. They're taking it all out and they're splitting things up. And I was really, really excited and gratified to see how far it went.
I see a meal in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you served all kinds of people, and it was interesting. So you had mentioned a little earlier, I don't know if people caught it, but the restaurant workers, when in December, when they were really hurting because they didn't get their Christmases, and you were delivering to restaurants so that they could distribute to their workers in need. And I think that's so cool, because what happens a lot, or what we saw happen a lot with CARES Act and stuff, is that suddenly all these resources come, and if they go to the wrong place and they're used inefficiently, or they're used to build up the old bad systems, that's not so good compared to when you're creating economy for these new, better systems that are more regenerative, more in line with people's values, more culturally appropriate, and that they're being connected through community. So there's a higher efficiency in all of that.
Mm-hmm. And people kind of have a better beat on what is needed, and just the sharing effect. I think the part of this, when you're struggling with food, food security, it's nice to know that you've got this community of people that understands and wants to help, and there's no stigma. I mean, if anybody raised their hand for a farm box, they obviously need food, so they get one. But and I kind of lurked on a number of sites like Long Beach Food Scenes. A lot of restaurant people are on there, and just different neighborhood threads. And if people, one of the business owners that I hadn't thought to reach out to was posting about struggling, and I just kind of private messaged her on the back end, and we were able to help her for 2 months. And I'm hoping that we can, now we've kind of opened this gate. We're like, we need another grant, we're gonna keep doing this. This is so awesome, because everyone feels so good about what they're doing. The farmers want to help, they feel great. I need employees, they're excited that they're working on a project that's helping people. In Southgate, we did this program for 6 months, and the city of Southgate actually hired the local yellow cab service, and so they had their community members signed up, and they delivered to the same people for 6 months. And so the yellow cab were employed, on Mondays to go and deliver. We'd have 250 farm box stacked up, and like these yellow cabs would like swoop in and like take 11 or 12 or 15, and they would all be gone in like 20 minutes. It was wild.
Photos of this?
Pardon?
Where are the photos of that? I want to see Midtown.
I know.
The
It
farmers
happened
market.
so fast. The little yellow bees.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
well, and you also, one other class of people you targeted to help was musicians. Is that right?
Yeah, they're the ones that need some more help. Now restaurants are opening up, so they're getting a little bit better, but who's still out of work? Musicians, entertainers. So we connected with a couple, and they help, a couple of people are helping distribute boxes to their circle.
Okay, well, I know compound people are pretty hip, so if there's musicians out there who are struggling, talk to the farmers market, because they could be getting some beautiful, nutritious Mother Earth boxes, Mother Nature boxes, delivered via taxi, perhaps. So
that's right.
Yeah. All right. So where are we going next, Kelly? We got to take the blue line.
So yes, now we're downtown.
All right. Now this market has moved so many times. Where is it now? and tell us where, Kelly.
Yes, it's on North Promenade. It's actually, the map says North Waits Court, but everyone knows it as North Promenade. It's from when Promenade continues once you cross 3rd Street. So it's between 3rd and 5th right now, which is also between Pine and Long Beach Boulevard. So it's been in that general area for I've been there for 5 years. It's been there maybe a little bit before that. And then they did get like kind of, before I started, I think they were over by Pine and here and there. And then back in the olden days, in the 80s, they were between Broadway and up to 4th or 5th. They were there for a while.
Okay, so.
And then of course in 1913.
Well, let's fast forward from the 1913 to the 2000s. So this used to be kind of where it was, I think, on the promenade, right?
Maybe in the olden days.
Yeah, and now that's kind of a nice stroll, and I don't know if anyone knows this beautiful.
The municipal.
Yeah, this
auditorium.
Is the 1930s.
I played my violin in front of that when I was in 4th grade.
And they recently redid this little park here, but there used to be 8 orange trees in here, and I think I heard something about how they got rid of them. It was kind of interesting. Does anyone remember what happened to the orange trees they recently removed? No? Okay, I'll have to look that up, but it's the mystery of the orange trees. So you're right here, right? Is that
Yes.
correct? By Portuguese Bend, which is our local distillery that here. And
Correct.
place.
So
Cool.
that's 3rd Street right there.
All right, that's a hot spot. Very cool. And that's what, 10 to 2?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Every Friday.
All right, and then you're saying the history of markets goes back even further to 1913.
That's right. Yeah. So I guess they had, like a cart market gathering place, went all the way around Lincoln Park, which I think would be pretty cool if we could, once that whole development is done, from City Hall to the new library, and I think it's Cedar Street. That would maybe be a dream, to be back down on Cedar Street, and it would end at Lincoln Park.
So go back over to the original 1913 site to where there's the new $500 million City Hall or City Civic Center complex.
Yes, yes.
That makes a lot of
That
sense.
would be a dream. Yeah.
I like it. Kelly, you're full of ideas and ambitions. And, some of these things are things we can support. Like right now, you were talking about before the food boxes and hoping to get another round with those. Well, in the mayor's plan for the recovery, there's money in the recovery plan for those boxes. And there's also money in there for a mobile food market. So
Right.
it's really time right now to tell Long Beach City people as well that, the recovery money that's going to the food system is a good thing. There's a really, really generous package of items like we've never seen before, including ideas to establish a land trust and lots of very equitable things in the mayor's plan. So it's worth people getting familiar with and supporting, because it means a lot more money going to support programs like this and infrastructure like this. So I think, Kelly, you were going to tell us next about some of the goodies that are maybe in season right now, because we're in the midst of spring.
Oh yeah. So this is sort of the California winter, spring/spring, the cruciferous.
Why does it go from winter to summer in like 8 minutes?
We only have 2 seasons. We have 2 summers and 2 springs. There's no winter. You can pretty much grow the same thing year round with our microclimates here and there. We have tomatoes right now from Coachella, because they have a nice big hydroponic program out there. And so the tomatoes start coming in February, early March. And then when it gets hot, that's all over and you get the Riverside tomatoes.
I think last week I got what's the yellow ones? The sweet, they're called Sun Golds. They already had
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were actually good.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, her tomatoes are good.
So
Shady ladies.
Tomatoes are here.
Tomatoes are here. Spring tomatoes are here. Those are your favorite kumquats.
Oh, who likes kumquats? They're too sour for you? Do you hate the seed in them?
They don't all have seeds, but yeah, they're yummy. My friends posted a picture of a cocktail that they muddled with Jameson's and kumquats. But yeah, it's citrus season. Citrus season right now is kind of citrus and berries are kind of what's at the market. We do have on Fridays and this Sunday, Pedro's Organic Farm will be at the market with papaya, dragon fruit, cherimoya. They're going to have a nice selection of tropicals. They've got a lot of fruit right now, so they'll be out.
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. Yes, they have good stuff. They come to the Friday market every week. We have amazing farmers on Fridays. People really need to start taking advantage. And parking's easy. You can park in the structures right there. So nice.
2-hour free parking there, and there's parking every single block.
I mean, we have everything on Fridays. Jackie, who curates that market, has done an amazing job. We have microgreens and flowers, and this beautiful organic fruit and a couple of really small farmers, like one guy from Bell who does a couple of our other markets, but him and his dad grow everything. They always have chamomile and aloe vera and cactus and just a lot of like little specialty items that we love. It's really nice.
Oh my gosh, I've been missing out because that's my closest market, but I thought it was in the afternoon for some reason, so I keep missing it. And it's in
It is
the
afternoon.
Oh, it is. Oh, see, I have some kind of mental block with this
It's
market.
from 10 to 2. That's
Finger limes, these are things that calamansi, these are the things I live for.
right. Yeah.
Wait, is today Friday?
Today's Friday. Next Friday, we'll go to the market together.
All right, I would like to help market that market because I just want, I can't even recall when it is, and I want to go to it. So I'm volunteering to get on the team with this one because it's
And
important.
at this market, we also have a program where we give out coupons to senior or disabled, or senior and disabled. So that's a long-standing group. They'll come out and get a couple extra, and it has to do with the lack of seniors really need to have some assistance with food equity because the whole Social Security thing, or the senior FMNP, they don't get CalFresh because they get something else with their Social Security check. They do not get enough food with their programs. So
in the farmers market in France, they just will take the food and deliver it to the senior from the farmers market.
I was in France a couple years ago, and they had, in the little tiny towns, they're pretty far from farmers markets, and the seniors are just walking around towns. They don't have cars or anything. They have fresh produce vending machines, and someone drives through in the morning. They probably put stuff in there every day, but they'll have like 3 stalks of celery, half a cabbage, a carrot, like these little bundles of things to make soups, sauces. It's amazing. We should have that.
Oh, yummy. Was that the end of this part? Okay, good, great. So, well, thank you, Kelly, for that wonderful tour. We saw a little bit of where the markets are, how to park at them, who sells at the markets, what are some of the beautiful foods available, and also some of the stuff that you're doing in the background to serve the community with, through the EBT and market match programs, and also through the food boxes. And I wanted to also introduce you guys to a good friend, and it's really fun to connect all this great local work with what's going on the state level. And because the food system is very integrated between what's happening here in our city and also state policies and agriculture and what's happening in other counties and all that. So where is she? Melanie Wong is here from the California Food Policy Council. And when I was talking to Melanie last year, I was really surprised to learn how all the farmers markets opened up across the state and how much just a few people had to do with that. So I was hoping Melanie could tell us a little bit about that story so that we could hear how the farmers markets got reopened during COVID. Oh, you're muted, Melanie.
You would think that after a year of this, I would know how this works. So I am calling in from Salinas today. I'm on the California Food Policy Council. And so it was just a little over a year ago when the Ecology Center saying that place orders were coming down the line and that we needed to make sure that farmers markets would stay open. So this kicked off a lobbying effort where CAF got involved, which is an organization that represents small farmers around the state, where they put a plug in the CDFA, California Food and Ag Secretaries, Karen Ross, in her designated as an essential service so that they can stay open. And then there was a lot of lobbying in San Francisco because we were from Ferry Plaza, from Alameda Market, from heart of the city, where they were spending a lot of time with Mayor Breed, because we sort of felt that however San Francisco went, that was going to lead how the rest of the state was going to react to this, because were large events and that those were going to be banned. So we needed to make sure that they were defined as essential services. So we got Mayor Breed to be using that kind of language when she was, when she would talk about farmers markets. And then we were able to get Governor Newsom to be able to talk about farmers markets the same way, as well as the Department of Public Health, because it really was public health that had to do with, how the shelter in place orders would read. So it was, I wept with joy when those orders came out. And the first thing I was like looking, what are they doing for farmers markets? So certified farmers markets were exempt from having to close. And, when I originally talked to Ryan about this, I live in San Francisco part-time. And even though I'm not a regular shopper at the heart of the city market, I mean, that market is, for many years, has been the highest reimbursement of SNAP in the country. So, I mean, you just know how important that is to feeding the people in the Tenderloin there who have no other supermarkets or any other source of food or transportation to go on you. So I had said, I'm going to work on this because the heart of the city market closes over my dead body. So, and then what happened is that, and here's my theory about it, is that a number of markets closed anyway because the cities were saying that they had to close because they didn't really know how to regulate them. And so this really highlighted for us that the difficulty of having, so you have a state shelter in place, then each county was putting out their orders, and then cities, it was just, they didn't know how to manage, to have an event happening within their city limits and have it be safe, because they associated with a lot of people. So the Ecology Center again, and the Alliance of Farmers Markets, worked with the Department of Public Health to come up with some guidances as far as what were the best practices. And I know the Ecology Center did a lot of training on that. So in some cases, we were able to simply send a letter to the various cities and say, this is what we will do. Your market manager, has been informed and is prepared to take all of these steps. And there still were a number of markets that, that stayed closed for quite a long time. In particular, in Los Angeles County and San Diego County did this boomerang a couple of times where they would open and close and then got closed, and many in San Diego County still have not reopened again. So it's been an ongoing effort. I would say that I probably in the first 4 months of when markets were shut down, and our priority was to work with those who were on Market Match and for those who were accepting CalFresh because of this need to feed low-income people. I probably contacted about 200 markets myself, and it took and it was a different thing for every market. I mean, in some cases, we had groups of consumers, like in Culver City, for example, they had a very active customer base there that said, and they worked all their council people to finally get it open. Actually, one of the markets in Southern California that I've been to before is the San Pedro Market, which is a very small market. But they kept working, and finally in December, after being closed, all that had more for safety, and they reopened. And I just commend all of you in the farmers market space for how innovative that you've been and how hard you've tried and tried so many different things with, online purchasing, bagging things up and dropping them in people's cars, just all kinds of things. Or, one of the markets, I think it's in, I think it might be in either Riverside or San Bernardino County, but above the snow line. I mean, they normally would have been indoors in March and April, and they actually moved outside, and you could see the snow falling around them. But they had customers, and they had CalFresh customers who were serving, and it was astounding to me that their vendors were there as well in the snow, And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's just to give you an idea of how much money from CalFresh passes through just from the Market Match program alone. It's about $3.5 million that was redeemed in 2020. And that's, that is mostly federal money. Actually about half of it is state money that flows through low-income people to farmers markets have been closed. That's $3.5 million that we could not have replaced any other way, because that's, that's the only way that it could be used. So I just think it's heroic, the job that people have done in farmers markets over this past year. And, and even still the ones that are associated with medical campuses, like Kaiser Permanente had many of them, Adventist Health System down in Southern California, they're still not open yet. So we're still trying to see what's going to happen with those, because those are actually some of the very, very active markets as well. So that's kind of an overview and what I see ahead. And I'm, the Ecology Center is leading the effort as far as trying to get this $20 million of additional market match money for this year as an emergency allocation. Ryan will send you information on that, but all of your organizations should be signing on to that, because that is that alliance that those of you who are in the urban cities or in urban areas have with the rural communities, that you are the customer for their product, and that money flows back to our rural areas and feeds those economies. So we really rely on you. So that $20 million can make a big difference. This is to give you an idea, because I'm here in Salinas today, which is where I was born and raised. Here in Monterey County, 1 out of 3 children is food insecure and doesn't know if they're going to eat today. And that's the highest rate in the whole state. Whereas we are also a breadbasket county. I mean, every leafy green imaginable comes from here. So that's the kind of poverty that we're still looking at in the rural areas. So I'll stop right there, and people have questions or things that you're concerned about, or how can you help, let me know.
Yeah, Melanie, thank you so much for coming in. I'm really glad you connect this effort was so not as visible as I think, so people don't know what happens behind the scenes, but you and a few others called hundreds of markets, health officials, and helped give everyone the information they need so that all these markets, which are each providing these services like we saw with Kelly's markets, all across the state, light back up, including our markets and our health department. So we really appreciate you, and we thank you guys for the hard work that you guys are doing and the partnership that we have with you, so that we can create these positive changes and see good things happen.
Yeah. And actually, one of the things that's unique about Long Beach is I believe that your market stayed open this whole time, even though many
did.
And I think that one of the differences is that you have your own public health department, because I think that other cities closed down, health responsibilities are delegated to their counties. And so city councils had no capacity to make any decision based on health and safety, because it's not, it's that they deal with regularly.
The city of Cerritos is also in LA County, and they stayed open. A couple of our, I think the LA County never closed down the markets. The city of LA did. And so a couple cities in the county may have decided to close down with their city council.
Yeah, it was the cities, I think, panicking that they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And also they were getting complaints from consumers saying, people are close, at the markets, and so they were responding to that as well.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, Beverly Hills took a very long time to reopen.
And the other side of this is because of the unique quality of the farmers market as one of the only sort of public activation events allowed, it's also been a flashpoint of a lot of controversy, and Kelly and other market managers have had to deal with a lot of very abrasive customers who don't want to comply with, safety regulations. And it's, so I really am impressed with the bodyguard abilities of Kelly, and she can tackle anyone with a mask, a hand-quilted mask at the ready.
We just approach them with a bag of masks.
Right. Yeah.
We want you here, but you must put on a mask.
Absolutely. Everyone had to practice how to do that in the nicest possible way to not be spit on, and who would have thought fruit and vegetable customers would behave that way? I mean, it just was, some of the bad behaviors were pretty astounding. As far as getting, PPE to farmers markets, I mean, that was something that we had a meeting with, Secretary Karen Ross again to find out how we would be able to get more things, and also, asking if there were other avenues for support. I mean, just in terms of getting pylons and barriers and and those kinds of things, because we did see that there was a difference between sort of high resource neighborhoods versus those who are less so, because they didn't have, they couldn't access that kind of equipment.
Well, we rounded the hour, and it would be great if we could give a moment to any of our peanut gallery. If you guys want to weigh in, chime in on anything, say hi. I see some regulars and some new faces. If any of you guys want to ask a question or shout something out, now would be a great time. Don't make me pick.
Michelle's got a hand up.
Hey, thank you guys for doing this. Definitely, this is awesome. I don't get to do these things that often, so it's really good to see you, Kelly and Ryan.
Good to see you,
everybody.
too.
I miss you. So when do you think, or when does it look projected for hot food to be able to come back, or for any of the nonprofits, or when could we come table again? And it's kind of one of the, are we looking at maybe 4 months, 2 months, 6 months? Do you have any clue?
Really hard to say. Hot food is allowed in LA County. It is not in Long Beach. And generally speaking, we just got new protocols from LA County, and the no tabling is still on the new protocol. In Long Beach, I'm not anticipating hot food for the rest of the year. I don't know.
Is that something that there's that any organizations or somebody could help that along, or is that health department specific, or
it's a health department thing? In terms, I think a lot of it is also infrastructure, personnel, and our ability to manage another section. Like right now, we're just a grocery store with prepackaged and produce. And I know that some places in LA County are able to have a completely separate event that is managed separate from the produce section and the prepackaged section. We don't have space in any of our markets to do that. But if, I think Universal Duties or Universal City maybe, and I think Torrance has a nice big section where they've got hot food back. But I don't see it. Quite frankly, a lot of people, a lot of our food vendors have been able to sort of pivot their business model to a prepackaged item, but it's been working out pretty well for us to be a grocery store. So we're not a food court, we're not a food festival. And so our numbers are bouncing. It doesn't look crowded sometimes at our markets, but it's because people are coming and going, they're not hanging out. So that's kind of where we're at. As long as we have to have the distancing between the vendors as well. I mean, between every single vendor, there's at least a 6-foot space. That's a vendor spot. So as long as that has to be empty, we don't have a lot of options.
Right. Well, thank you so much for doing everything. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I've had so many people tell me all of, just sing your praises. So it's just good to
Thank
see you.
you.
And thank
Yeah,
you.
it was a interesting year. Normally you change the map of your farmer's market like once every 10 years. We changed it every week for 3 months. It was insane.
Yes. Yeah.
That's wild.
I think I saw Naomi. Did you have your hand up, or did you want to unmute?
Yeah, thank you. Well, hi everybody. I'm new here. Thank you for
Welcome.
hosting this really interesting event. I'm a big food refugee, and trying to immerse myself in the world of sustainable living and food in particular. And so I've been spending a lot of time sort of in the listening and learning phase of this journey for me, and really interested in the farmers market world, as well as food equity. So one of the questions I've heard as I've spoken with people in the field is about when we talk about creating opportunities for people with lower incomes to come to markets like the CalFresh program that you were talking about, and the market match. And those are so great and must be incredibly helpful. And it sounds like you guys get great results. I'm curious to know, like, how do you encourage the vendors to create specific, I guess, culturally appropriate food offerings or in the spaces where people coming from those backgrounds might be more interested, or is it kind of like a natural fallout of, what we're growing is what those communities want to eat? I'm just kind of curious how you manage that in that space.
Yeah, markets.
Kelly.
Yeah, markets definitely have a cultural customer base. On Thursdays and Saturdays in Cerritos, we have 2 to 3 Hmong farmers that come down from March through maybe Thanksgiving, and we have a big following for those farmers, and they make all the greens and all the squashes and things like that you would find in those countries that shop. Lots of, and it's really interesting too, because there's an item called sour leaf, and it is a roselle plant, and the Hmong farmers grow it for the leaves. And then one day I saw them at the end of the season, and it had all the buds on there, and I was like, oh my God, it's Jamaica. And so the Hispanic communities use more for the calyx for the beverage. And so I was talking to the Hmong farmers. I'm like, you got to bring all that stuff at the end of the season. Don't just, chop it up. So it's interesting finding, the where they cross, the different cultures. It might be the same plant used in different ways. And so in Southgate and Huntington Park, we have a large Middle Eastern community and Hispanic community customer base. And there are lots of things that are grown that are more traditional to their wants and needs. And so it's interesting how you see that. And the farmers are responsive. They want suggestions. They want to grow what people will buy. So I've got one that's got a couple 100 feet of rhubarb now, because so many bakers love rhubarb, and it's not that easy to find. Only a couple people grow it. So, we're trying to help them identify crops that they can be successful with.
Thanks.
And always feel free to make suggestions. Send us an email with, like, we'd love to see these items, because we love that. We would love to help.
Yeah, you got to be vocal at the farmers market, and it's like the Toastmasters of the experience. You really learn to speak for yourself. Anyone else want to chime in? Dana or Heather?
I will. Dana Buchanan, owner of Primal Alchemy Catering and Events, and I don't know, been going to the farmers markets in Long Beach for, I don't even know how long. Probably 35 years, 30 years, something. But what I wanted to say is I'm so glad, Kelly, since you've taken the markets over, it's just been huge change and all for the better. And you're just like the farmers market heroine of Long Beach. And I'm so glad you're in that position. I don't know if anybody else could have carried it through this last year. I mean, seriously, the challenges that you faced, it's just so awesome. But what I wanted to, an anecdote I wanted to say is, when we did our first Days of Taste event for the kids, the fourth graders in one of the schools in Long Beach, I think it was 21 years ago, Chef Paul asked the kids, who here has been to the farmer's market? And one kid out of like, I don't know, 80 of them, 80 or 100 kids, one kid raised their hand. In 2019, which was the last year we did it, because we couldn't do it in 2020, every single kid in that audience raised their hand. Every
That's
single
amazing.
kid. So that
Yeah.
tells you a lot about what's happened with farmers markets over the last
Right.
20 years in Long Beach. And just, you know, when new people come to town, it's like, oh, where's the farmers market? And I said, well, which day? Because we have one every single day of the week, except, do we have one on Monday right now, Kelly?
Not right now.
Yes, except Monday. So it's like, it's not like, when is it? It's what day and where do you want to go? You know,
Right.
so it's just super, super awesome. So thank you for all your work. And you too,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
And you too, Michelle, and all you people, and Melanie and everybody that's been fighting this fight for years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana. And then Heather, did you want to talk? I saw you poke back in here.
Yeah, just wanted to say hi, and thanks for putting this together. I am a big farmers market fan just for my personal shopping, but then I also work for an affordable housing developer. And so during the pandemic, we've really had to amp up our food bank distributions. And so I'm always just curious about how different entities are pivoting and making it work for the people who need food access the most. And we have our new building called Spark at Midtown, which is 1900 Long Beach Boulevard. And so folks are going to be moving in there. So just mapping out in my head, is it closer down to the promenade or up to Bixby Knolls, or like how can we promote the different farmers markets to our new residents there?
Well, and that's
Lots
a
of
really
great-
exciting new project, and it seems like there might be an opportunity for healthy food retail there, or some kind of healthy food program that connects with the residents. So we're very interested to partner with you guys on that and see what that could look like, because it's such an interesting new area with the playground and the Blue Line and the MHA bakery and all this stuff.
Yeah, and there's a community teaching kitchen that'll be opening up, and there's also going to be meeting space available on the ground floor for local nonprofits who don't have their own building. So there's lots of exciting
Wow.
things.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. Maybe a garden, community garden.
Garden. Yeah. Very good.
Well, cool. Well, it's excellent to have this time together. I think this was a really great topic to dive deeper into and to spend a moment really just appreciating how much we love the farmers market, how much we love Kelly, how much we love Melanie and the work going on at the state, and Dana too, we love, of course, and Michelle and the co-op and all of our new friends, Naomi, Heather, Spark Housing, and I see like Matt Cohn is hiding there, and several people who are here with us. So
Echo in the garden gnome.
great, and really appreciate our friends at the compound for creating this space for, you know, us to have these food conversations with friends and with new welcomes as well. And so we'll sign off here.
Yes,
Thanks, Ryan.
everybody for coming. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And I'll stay on for a second if people want to put their emails in the chat and hang out with each other. So thank you all for coming.